More breaking news coming in as far as the Goa fire is concerned. More details on the investigation. 100 people were on the dance floor is what we're learning. Eyewitnesses say that the fire had first started on the first floor and that several people had then run downstairs after the fire erupted. The investigation also reveals that people were trapped in the kitchen along with the staff after the massive fire erupted on the first floor. My colleague Anuj joins us with more details. Anuj, now the preliminary investigation has revealed some details as to what exactly happened. Now we're learning that the fire had erupted on the first floor, after which people had run down, some of the women even trapped in the kitchen, Anuj.
Well, yes, and it is important to understand that a majority of the people who have been impacted because of this fire are tourists, and a few of them are, people from that particular club. But from what we are learning as of now is that the fire started on first floor where the club was placed, and when, of course, because of the fire, there were a few limited exits, due to which the people kind of try to tramp into all of them, and they try to make their way to the basement of that particular place where a lot of people started to choke, and eventually many of them started to become unconscious. Now, as we heard Chief Minister of Goa, Mr. Pramod Sawant speak a while back, we know for a fact that at least 25 people have lost their lives, so 2 more than what was the estimate that we had in the morning. Besides that, 5 other people are also in medical care. Again, important for us to understand that the government has also been quick in trying to, in a way, initiate their investigation as well. While on one hand, ministerial inquiry has been set up to understand what exactly led to this. On the other hand, we know that an arrest has been made in this entire case, and the manager has been taken into custody. But again, this is a much bigger case than just the manager being there with the police. Because this Arpura club, which we are talking about, is not more than 25 kilometers away from the state capital. It is one of the most popular tourist spots in the northern Goa region, where thousands of tourists flock on an yearly basis. Especially when we talk about the month of December, it is considered to be, the biggest month for the coastal state when it comes to the holiday season, which is why, we also heard the Chief Minister speak about how important this is going to be for them, given the fact that this happened at the peak holiday season. Besides that, fire audits have been ordered in other places, in other nightclubs as well. And the local panchayats have also issued orders wherein, officials will go to a lot of these clubs across the state and will check the norms, whether they are being followed or not in person. However, this will surely, raise a lot of questions on the effectivity with which the government has, worked in the last few weeks, in whether this is an incident which could have been avoided earlier as well.
Right. Anuj, like you mentioned, it's not an isolated incident of one club. There are several clubs, and like you mentioned, since North Goa is a place where it attracts a lot of tourist people, especially those who head to these clubs. There are a lot of shacks that come up and clubs that come up in this particular area, and several areas in North Goa that are not exactly regulated and perhaps not checked, and regular audits not done there as well, which has now raised this question.
Well, yes, the regulation and the frequent regulation of these clubs is, was supposed to be a norm if you look at the guidelines put forth, by the state of Goa. However, the state machinery is somewhat failure to comply with it. Either some sort of a high-handedness shown by some authority there in the state has led to this sense of complacency creeping in a lot of these, clubs. But what this has done is that it has given a broader opportunity to the state government to in fact check whether there are any other bigger clubs which do not in fact comply with the rules or with the guidelines of the state government. And again, it is important to stress that it happened in the month of December. By the end of the year, we know that, the entire part of northern Goa, in fact, all of the tourist places in Goa get very crowded, not just with the tourists or people from across the country, but across, international tourists also make their way there as well. So in fact, it becomes, an even more responsibility-driven job for the government to do it. And in that case, to not make sure that the clubs in the state are not complying with the guidelines set up by the government, it's probably something that would be seen very critically by the government.